Hi, I'm Owen Smith, and I'm a comedian. If there's one thing I've learned in over 20 years of doing stand-up, is that comics never throw away their old notebooks.
Oh, yeah, the big notebooks, 96.
So I got a few of my comedian friends to bust out their old notebooks, journals, and tapes.
Women want 1962 courting, but haven't counted in inflation.
Sure, it's not their greatest material.
That's funny. That's how fucking stupid I am. I thought that was a punchline.
Which is exactly why I got them to perform it on stage.
I don't give a fuck if they laugh.
This is Notebooks.
Whoa.
This is every audition I've had in Hollywood since I started.
Come on, man.
Yeah. These are all the sketches I've ever written. There's probably a couple hundred
Come
sketches
on,
from my...
This is
most
great.
committed.
What year is that?
2001, 2. A girl told me that she wanted to be just friends, so I borrowed $20 from her and dodged her for 3 months. It was her idea. This is the flyer for the first comedy show that I ever did here in Los Angeles. It was at the Theater of Note. I look, Tenacious D.
I see that, Tenacious D.
This was January 20th, 2001.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for my good friend, Matt Knudsen.
I think Owen told you the premise for this show. You go into old jokes, old devices. And here's the thing, guys. I'm not the funniest or the most handsome or even the hardest working comedian. That's it. That's the whole announcement, guys. I do feel I deserve some credit for being honest. But I will say this, I'm not one of those guys that's like funny in the moment, you know, but if you give me some time to come up with something, I really struggle.
When did you know you were going to do stand-up?
I was always kind of the funny kid in school, but I don't know if that ever clicked in my mind like someday I'm gonna be out there and do this. I knew with all humility that I had the ability to be funny and connect.
Right.
That's a word I use a lot. Connect. I just started doing open mics and seeing that what I was talking about resonated, even if I hadn't developed it to the point that I wanted to.
Right.
If you can see that moment where like, where the thought that you have behind your eyes resonates with strangers.
Yeah.
And not dismiss those things.
So what I did is I put my set on these, and if it's all right if I could just reference it throughout, it would really help me because I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of stress as a comedian trying to remember your next line. So if I could just have everything I'm going to do right here, it would make everything a lot easier.
I would have my like set list
Seth.
here, and then I just like, all right, what am I gonna do? And nobody knows, and then you take, and then you take the ball, and you're like, oh, okay. So
Okay. I'm a pacifist, guys. I'm a pacifist. But I still wanted to learn how to defend myself, so I started watching MMA on TV. So now if anyone ever tries to mug me, I'll just start to 69 the guy.
I wouldn't even really mention the number. It was as if like the joke that I wanted to say existed on this ball.
Okay. One of my guilty pleasures is I like to put on hot underwear right out of the dryer. But somebody at the laundromat always calls the cops. You know?
My dad was a pastor. So when we were growing up, we would be...
So that's where the connection came from. You saw him connect with small groups, big groups.
Yeah, you know,
subconsciously.
In a very subconscious way.
Yeah,
I mean, he prepared material. He
New set every week.
New set every week.
Come on. Being a pastor, you can't do it. You can't keep doing the same 10. God, open your Genesis.
Yeah, we saw this on your last special.
One time, me and Sinbad, when I first moved out here, I would go to church a lot. And me and Sinbad went to the same church and at the time, and we both were late. And we both had to sit on stage behind the pastor. So we're looking at the audience. And I looked at Sinbad, and we both looked at each other like, we would kill this crowd. Like, we're still comedians, like, we would destroy this crowd. And the pastor had him in his hand, you know, when then Jesus. We were like, oh, he's good. Like, we were, and I would go literally like study some of his moves, like, this dude is amazing. Yeah. Did you see a comedian? Did one of the people you worked with were like, man, you funny, you should go to the Did they introduce that idea to you, or was it something you kind of always quietly knew you were going to do?
When I first moved to Los Angeles, I did all 3 of the comedy disciplines simultaneously.
Okay,
I did
break that down.
stand-up, I did improv, and I did sketch comedy. So a lot of times what people will do is if you get into one thing, you know, they're like, oh, stand-ups, oh, you can't do improv. Oh, improv, you can't do stand-up. Sketch, what's all this stuff? I did them all because I didn't have, until I moved to Los Angeles, I'd never been on stage once in my entire life.
Holy shit.
So I had no training, I had no experience. I just, I had hustle. You know.
So you did all 3 at once.
I did all 3 at once.
I don't know if people realize those are 3 different muscles.
3 different, yeah.
Stand-up is a selfish art form. Improv is an unselfish art form. And sketch is kind of...
I say sketch is almost the hardest of all 3 of those, especially in a live environment.
Yeah.
Because with stand-up and improv, you can you can be, even within stand-up, you can still be loose and maybe you wrote something, but like it doesn't go exactly the way you want it, but you know, you can kind of riff and cover and all this stuff. With sketch, you're on stage with like 3 or 4 other people. You're giving them cue lines, and it's all material that I've written, you know, and I would cast these things and put these people in it, and then you're in front of a live audience, and you never know how it's going to go until it's actually happening. Right. And there's an underlying understanding in sketch. It's just like, I think this is so funny, I bought this wig and tracksuit. You know what I mean? Here is how confident I am in my material. I bought this, you know, this garden gnome.
One of the things that Owen wanted to see was this bit that I was telling about. I had the Crown Royal Megabits.
Here's the thing. When I first started, I also would do like a lot of like alternative rooms. Yeah. They like something that's like maybe not right across the plate. Yeah. It's, you know, a little left of center. But that was okay because I couldn't like string together 5 minutes, you know. So I would take these like little scraps of paper, and then I would come up with like bits that was stand-up, but then there was like another component to it. So I used to like get an audience member to come up on stage with me, and basically what I did is all those things that I had written down on scraps of paper, someone could just reach into the bag, pull something out, and I would perform the joke immediately.
Antonio has pulled out $25 movie, okay? It's a good movie. It's right. And actually, they said in our lifetime, Antonio, that the price of movies will be $25. I read that in an article recently. But the person who wrote that article doesn't know about my suicide pact. So, unless they raise the price of movies $13 by Valentine's Day.
So I guess I graduated from that to this stuff, which is like, hey, here would be like a 5-minute chunk, but I wrote it out verbatim. I think I equated a lot to like musicians, you know, like when you're first learning a song, you know, you sit and you like look at the music and you figure it out, and then you rehearse and then you do all this stuff. That's this, but then after a while, that big song you know you learned is just Hotel California. Yeah. You know, it's just two words can bring everything into full focus immediately.
Love traveling. It's one of my favorite parts of doing comedy. I recently flew back from Greenville, South Carolina. And folks, you know you're in a small town airport when there's an announcement on the PA system that says, "Ron, come here."
You have these paper clips. So you said this is a 5-minute chunk. This is like, you know, rappers, they got racks. Like, you can tell how much money this is. This is 5 minutes. So if you had to do a showcase for somebody, you pull this out. Do you know how many comedians go, oh, what do I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. You've blocked this, and so when you stack this, you go, this is 25 minutes, this is 30 minutes, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
Like, I always just did it off memory. This is so concise. And
I get nervous. I get too nervous, especially
Incredible.
when I was like very early. That element that you're talking about, where
Yeah.
just like, even if someone grabs your arm and say, "Hey, somebody dropped out. You want to
Yeah.
do some time?" You see that comedian. I've been that comedian
Yeah.
who's like sitting at the end of the bar, going through their scraps of paper, trying to put their set list together,
Yeah.
and they're gonna have a great set.
Yeah.
But maybe it would not be as good as if they had it just ready to go.
Wife and I just got a new Tempur-Pedic mattress recently because she likes to drink wine in bed. And I love to jump up and down.
It doesn't bother me if people don't laugh at everything I say, as long as what I am saying I think is funny.
But you have to evolve to that, though.
Right.
And that comes from putting those 10,000 hours in.
Yeah,
from
I
putting that
record
work
all
in.
my sets,
Yeah.
and between stand-up and improv and sketch, I think I've probably done over 3,000 shows.
Do you remember the moment when you were like, I don't care if they laugh. Like, that was for me. That
Right.
moment was for me.
That's a good question. I don't know if there's a moment that I could put a fine point on and say like, I remember it was 2004.
Yeah.
No, it just kind of comes
It evolves,
from,
right?
Yeah, and then also the confidence of knowing that maybe like, if people didn't connect with this, hang tight. Maybe you're gonna find something else down the line.
Yeah.
And I think part of the like having improv in the background is just, and I say this to all comedians, especially who are like starting out. No one knows what you're going to say. No one knows what the laugh line is. No one knows anything about your act, except for you.
Right.
So if you get in your head and like, oh, I didn't get that Aunt Jemima pancake joke in. Nobody knows that.
Right,
They just know that you're continuing to talk and that you're still, keep saying something and maybe you'll laugh eventually.
I recently bought a smart car. Car is so smart it has a mode called wife. And when I put the car in wife mode, it will audibly gasp every time I gently apply the brakes. It's like she's right there, guys.
I think the audience is never wrong, most of the time. You know, if they're like if they're a good crowd and they're with you, and then you say something that doesn't resonate in the same way, you can't go from like good crowd to like they sucked. It's just like, did they suck or did I suck?
I don't want to sit up here and brag about money, but I will say this. I'm not rich, but I don't bother trying to open stubborn pistachios. That's how things are going, everybody.
This preparation right here,
Yeah.
90% I think of what we do after you've been doing it a certain amount of years is if you give a fuck.
It's hundreds and thousands of no's, and it's failure all the time, And if you're okay with failure, what more can happen after it doesn't work out?
Yeah.
It's a joke from my act. I like LA. I do think it would be a lot easier to get around a city if like 1 million people gave up on their dreams. Give up. Like either get busy living or get busy dying.
Hey, life is good. I think life is what you make it. So stick it out there and make it a good one. Because it's not gonna last forever. That's why I left some very specific instructions for my wife when I pass away. I told her I don't want to be cremated, but I still want to be scattered over Venice Beach.
Do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's it. On that Matt Knudsen.
We're recording now, or that was a good warm up.
I know, yeah.
And take one.
Thank you for watching.
Say please subscribe.
Please hit subscribe
Hit the notification bell.
and notification bell.
That's right. And watch some more videos in this box right here.
Want some more video and some box is right over here.
My man. There it is. Thanks, guys.